So I made a little PSA on aftermarket parts about how a lot of these aftermarket part companies are actually purchasing from companies in China, Pakistan, and Spain that make counterfeit parts, counterfeit OEM parts, to the point where they stamp like full Moco, Mopar, AC Delco, Toyota, and Hyundai and that on the parts. They stamp it on there, they put the serial number on it. But they're not made or authorized by the OEM manufacturer. Now, in order for these aftermarket companies to bring them into America or import them, all they have to do is scratch out the serial numbers that are put on them. Like, they don't have to just scratch out the full Moco that they're supposed to, but they usually don't. But as long as they change the serial number to their part number and do not advertise it as manufacturer made or OEM, and that, like, they can call it an OE solution, doesn't mean that it's made by the manufacturer. OE solution does not mean manufacturer, OEM manufacturer. But they cannot advertise it as made by Ford or supplied by Ford or that. They can't do that. But these parts are not real. They are counterfeit. Mahal is really good on this one, because there are some really good counterfeit companies out there that make good counterfeit parts, but they're not licensed to make these parts. They don't have right to use the patent to design of the part and stuff like that. But that's the thing. So just because it has an OE name on it doesn't mean that it is real, doesn't mean that it's genuine, does not mean that it's made by the manufacturer. If you take a look at the, like, for example, the metal parts and the aluminum parts, put the OE and the aftermarket side by side, you'll see that the color of the material is slightly different, the striation is different. Cut it in half, you'll see that the internal composition is different. Stress test it, you'll notice that it's not as strong. It's a lower grade material, cheaper material, more dirtier material. Electronic components, the outside, oh, it looks the same, but hey, you can do a scratch test on that plastic and you'll see that it's not ABS or that. And you can also heat it, put a little bit of heat on it, and you see that it heats up different than the OEM. And you can also take a look at the circuit boards and the chips inside. You'll notice they're not the same chips. You'll notice that they're not the same circuit boards. Just because it says, just because it has a name stamped on it, doesn't mean that this aftermarket part company is buying from the manufacturer's plant. Manufacturer plants do not sell to aftermarket suppliers. Like, I think there's only like 2 actual OE manufacturers that will give license to certain companies to copy their patents and copy their parts, but no, they don't sell their parts to be rebranded or relabeled. And but yeah, just be warned that just because it says full Moco or Mopar on there and there's a serial number scratched out, doesn't mean that it was made by them. It's a counterfeit part. Amazon is full of counterfeit parts. And when I get a chance to actually get some of the stuff that I have collected that's at the shop, I'll show you the difference between these counterfeit parts and the OEM parts. What the differences of metal, what the differences of the electronics and the components in them. And but just because it has an OEM name on it doesn't mean that it was made by the OE manufacturer. And you can also tell by the plant that it was like the plant of origin. If it says China, more than likely it's not an OE part. Because a lot of OE manufacturers make USA, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and Portugal. Other than that, any other country in those, and they don't make OE parts. So. But yeah, there's your little PSA. Don't get fooled. I'm not saying don't buy aftermarket parts. Buy from trusted vendors that follow the laws, and make sure that you're getting a quality aftermarket part. Like I said, some of these cloned parts are really damn good, worth the money, worth it spending, worth buying. But just remember, you're also helping that company break the law by buying counterfeit parts that they do not have license or right to use or sell. So anyways, have a good one, guys.